Hello. Hello.
பேசாமலே ஸ்பைக்ஸ் போகுது சார். பேசாமலே ஸ்பைக்ஸ் போகுது.
Hello.
எனக்கு 13ஆம் தேதி 80 மார்க் டெஸ்ட் ஸ்கூல்ல. 5 லெசன் எங்க மிஸ் இப்பதான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லெசன்ல 2வது லெசன் போறாங்க. சண்டே லீவு யார் சொன்னா அவருக்கு அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. லீவ்லாம் பார்த்ததில்ல. ஜாலியா இருக்கு. உனக்கு என்னப்பா ஜாலியா இருக்கு என்று கேட்டேன். பார்பி படத்துக்கு டிக்கெட்லாம் எடுத்து வச்சிருந்தேன். மார்கெட் போனோம்.
Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Where are rest of your friends?
That I don't know, ma'am.
Okay. So how many of you like the Sunday morning chemistry class or a physics class?
I don't like to study at Sunday, ma'am. No matter what subject it is.
Yeah. Me too. I also want to take a leave from chemistry on Sunday. But there were certain tests which you have to give. So therefore we have to adjust the chemistry class for today. No issue. Sometimes we have to do what we don't like. So give them 2 minutes. By 11:05 or 4, I will just start the class. Right?
Okay, ma'am.
So let's begin. There's no point in waiting anymore. Let me contact Mr. Is Mr. Bhaskar around?
1 minute, ma'am. I'll go get him.
Okay, just tell him that he has not enabled screen sharing for me.
1 minute, ma'am. 1 minute, ma'am.
Okay. Have you called him? Called him, Jitesh?
Yes, ma'am. 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. So till then you can solve one question. I'm giving you a question on mole concept, what we studied in the last class.
நான் இந்த நோட் எடுத்துருக்கேன் கூட பாஸ் ஆயிடுச்சு
Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start with, I wanted to ask a oral, the question, I don't want you to do it on a piece of a paper. It needs to be oral question, right? 32 grams of methane, right? What happened, Jitesh? Please settle down quickly. How many moles are there in 32 grams of methane? If you have remembered that molecular masses and atomic masses, you should be able to answer it orally. Ananya, what happened to your camera?
Mom, I'm having, like, my camera is not working in my laptop. So I've given it the class.
Okay.
I'm actually attending from the phone.
The students at Learning Center, if you are giving any answer, I'm not able to hear you.
Ma'am, 512.
Number of moles? 512. How did you get that number?
1 mole equals 16 grams of methane.
Yeah.
So 32 grams
Will be
2 moles.
2 moles. And who was telling me 512?
Not me.
I only told, I did a small miscalculation. I multiplied 16 and 32 instead of dividing.
See, again, why every day morning or the first thing in the class, I have to tell you that take a breath before you answer. Right? This is what you call it as a silly or a careless mistake, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
And they are more painful than not knowing the answer, because you know them and still you get a lesser marks or a 0 sometimes in that particular question, right? So
Yes.
moving on, I think I told you the molecular formula of sugar. What is sugar known as precisely? Or is there any difference between sugar and
Yes.
cane sugar?
Ma'am,
Yeah,
sucrose, ma'am, sugar.
no,
No.
no,
Ma'am, glucose.
no. I think we did the formula of glucose also, or not?
Maltose.
No, it is not maltose. C6H12O6 is the formula of glucose. C12H22 is popularly known as cane sugar. In one of the papers, they have asked for the question based on cane sugar. There can be palm sugar. I believe you must be knowing what is palm sugar. You people must be surrounded by a lot of palm trees or maybe knowing more about palm trees than me. Isn't it? Have you heard about palm sugar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is for us, the sugar, as you said, sucrose is fine. Sucrose is the common name, but I was looking for cane sugar. That has to be an additional information for you that we need to know or remember rather all the names of a compound or a substance to be more precise, because sometimes they give you the another name which we might forget, right? So quickly, molecular formula of cane sugar or simply sugar is
C12H22O11.
molecular mass.
I'm 332 grams. 332 grams.
332. Okay. What everyone else has calculated? See, it has to be very simple. For carbon, it is 12 into 12 plus 1 into 22, right? Plus 16 into, or rather 11 into 16. So what is the answer? Everybody getting the same answer or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so please add it to whatever you, as I suggested, if you are making it, it will be good for you. Make a list and add this compound to that also, right? I will try to give you as many common compounds which are popularly or usually asked in the exam. So, what is the percentage composition? Can anybody define and describe for me? You must have done percentage calculations in class 9th. Done or not done? See, there can be three answers. Not done, done, or done but not remember. Which one you pick?
Option
Ananya,
D. Online class.
all?
Online class, ma'am. So they might have thought I might have missed it.
They have taught and you have not learned it, right? You are saying so.
Yes.
Okay.
But percentage composition is the percentage of an element in a particular element in a compound.
Correct. See, this is as simple as what is your percentage in chemistry? What do you have to do? Marks obtained divided by total marks into 100. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So percentage means whatever which is being asked, that in methane, what is the percentage of carbon? We can take the same example and continue with it. That means total mass of Methane is 16, right? And carbon is 12. So 12 upon 16 into 100 will be the percentage of carbon. Is it making sense to everyone? Specifically, Ananya, I didn't get your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
2%.
Okay, you have done percentage composition in class 9th or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it should be easy for all of you to do it. So as you people already know, again, keep the reaction definitions in your mind. When I say so, I mean the precise definition so that you save time and you tend to be more accurate and precise while writing the answers, right? So the percentage composition of compound is the percentage by mass of each element present in it. In case of methane, I have asked only for carbon, but if somebody asks me for the entire, and more importantly, total, the sum total of total percentages of individual elements has to be 100, right? It cannot be less than 100 at any given time. Okay, so first of all, we will just quickly go through what are the logical steps, and then we will solve them we will solve with the example. So first of all, what you have to do, if I say sucrose, right? Or if I say any compound, say hemoglobin. Hemoglobin has a very difficult formula, which we will of course not do it right now, not in our syllabus. So what we will be doing, whatever elements, whatever name is we are given, ethane, ethanol, propanol, whatever is given, we will just write the elements present in it and the atomic mass of each of them, right? Any confusion at the center? You people seem to be in discussion with something.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
no, ma'am, you asked something.
no, I didn't ask. I was just thinking that I can see all you were discussing something. I thought there is something which is not clear, or you are. I didn't.
No,
I didn't
ma'am.
understand. Okay.
No, ma'am, I was just checking with the hemoglobin formula.
Okay, it's difficult. It is a coordination compound. It is
Okay, ma'am.
it is a porphyrin ring. If you want, I can tell you. There is a chapter called
Please
as
tell me, ma'am.
Yeah, it has iron in the center, and then it has porphyrin rings. It has something. This is iron, and then it has some rings like this. I don't remember exactly 4 or 5 rings, but it has something like that. And more importantly, when you have different blood groups, its hemoglobin has a different, can have a different composition sometimes, right? So we basically talk about
Okay, ma'am.
porphyrin structure. So that is not important for us. We can have like chlorophyll. It's a molecule. Chlorophyll A is there, chlorophyll B is there. So there can be different, it's scientist jobs. Let's not go into the details of it. So I think these 2 points are clear to both of you, to all of you. What is
Yes,
the,
ma'am.
and what we have to do after that? Multiply. Suppose we have C6H12O6. So what we have to do? We have to multiply the atomic mass of carbon by 6, hydrogen by 12, and oxygen by 6. This we know, right? So total by this, what we get? We get the total mass contribution by that particular element. Is it making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then we have to add all of them to find the molecular mass of total compound. As I told you for methane, if you have to find find it for carbon, it has to be 12 divided by 16. So the total 12 plus 4, this is what we mean to do, what we need to do in the step 3. Add all the contributions which we have calculated in the previous step to find the total molecular mass of the compound. Coming to this, it's just simply add grams. G, you have to write simply G. And then, as I told you, for carbon, it has to be 12 divided by 16 into 100. I do understand that doing it by numbers is easier way, but it is a part of syllabus. Reason being, NEP is going to use various tools also. You have to know the chronology. They may give you total 6 or 8 steps and ask them to put them, ask you to put them in a proper chronological order, right? Whether whatever they have written in the form of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is important that whatever we practice in numerical, we must be able to reproduce it in writing. Nobody is going to ask you to write the steps involved, but you have to be familiar with it so as you can put them in a correct chronological order. I believe you understand the meaning of word chronological order.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's how you get the total mass of the element in one molecule divided by gram molecular mass of the compound into 100. This, I believe, all of us should be able to do it, right? So what we will do for glucose, find the composition of carbon, percentage composition precisely of carbon in glucose. Tell me what it will be. Now, if you remember the molecular mass of glucose, which we did in the last class, it will be easier. Tell me the answer as soon as you get it.
Forty percentage. 40%.
40%, not percentage, 40%.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everybody got the 40%? Ananya, what about you?
1 second, I'm still doing.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, even I got 40%.
Okay. So that seemed pretty easy. And because you have done certain practice, to me, it was, we always know 12 into 6 divided by 180. If you remember that in the last class, we did the molecular mass of glucose is 180. So simply it was 72 because there was 6 carbon atom, and then you get the percentage. Now, purpose of putting up this slide was is at times you may be asked not to solve the question. Look at the part where I have striked out grams. This part. This we should actually do it. But since you people are good at maths, and if you do some practice, you may tend to do simply, as I was also saying, 72 divided by 180 into 100. To me, it is a pretty verbal question. To all of us, if we remember, and after some time, it may become a pretty easy question for you also. But remember, if you are asked to find the correct step, that has to has grams written above and below. Is it making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
In MCQ, it has to be the correct option, not the one without the, if it is written as 72 divided by 180 into 100, that will be the incorrect option, right? Now, what is the empirical formula? Have you heard about this term?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it? Can anybody define it for me then?
Empirical formula represents the simplest whole number ratio, ma'am, of various atoms present in a element. In a compound.
Okay, correct. See, the simplest ratio. Let's say, if I say I have 4 chemistry books and 9 physics books, the simplest ratio will be 4:9, right? So if somebody asks you, is the empirical formula definition clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you differentiate between empirical formula and molecular formula?
Empirical formula gives the simplest ratio, while molecular formula gives the exact number of atoms present.
Okay, very correct. Now, what is the empirical formula of glucose? Molecular formula we have just learned, it is C6H12O6, right? What is the empirical formula of glucose?
CH2O.
CH2O. What about hydrogen peroxide?
HO. HO.
HO. What is the empirical formula of acetylene?
CH.
CH.
CH. You know what is acetylene?
C2H2.
Okay, correct. So these are the examples which we must remember, and they may be asked that what is the empirical formula of these hydrogen peroxide, glucose. These are the normally asked question. So if you know the empirical formula, you can always find the empirical formula mass. For hydrogen peroxide, empirical formula mass will be, it has to be oral now.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the empirical formula mass of hydrogen peroxide?
17.
Correct. Similarly, for acetylene, it will be
17. No. 13.
how?
C is 12 and H is 1, so 13.
Okay. Is everyone clear about how to find a empirical formula and empirical formula mass?
Yes, ma'am.
Ananya, you are also clear or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there is no need for us to go through them, but if you want to read through them, you must read through them. Again, for the purpose of how do you do it? If somebody asks you, gives you the step, what NEP or the latest method of checking the intelligentsia of a student, what they are trying, they are just giving you the steps instead of writing the answers. Like I used to write the answer, and let's say they ask me to describe the properties of acetylene or alkynes precisely, right? But to you, they may give you 5 properties and ask you which is not a property of acetylene, something like that. So we must be at times reading the NCERT or whatever book we are following carefully so that we know what we are doing, where to use the word atomic mass, where to use the word atomic number. The purpose of putting this here is simply this, that you need to have certain words to describe it, right? Like when you read the newspaper, you hear the word submarine in terms of Titanic. So similarly, if you read it, you get the word. What are you doing? You are finding the simplest ratio among the atoms, right? And which has to be a whole number. As a result, you can either write them or you can put them in a correct order. Maybe like whole number is missing somewhere, so that may be the incorrect option. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just solve this question if everything is clear to you. We have discussed these steps, and if anybody is feeling that he or she cannot remember the steps, or they are not able to rather recall the steps, please tell me immediately so that we don't spend more time on it. I'll just start explaining it to you.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
is it CHO2?
okay. What is the status of other students? Able to get ahead away in solving the question or not?
Yes, ma'am. I got CHO2.
One got CHO2, other one got CH2O. Okay. What about
CH2O.
Ananya?
I'm
CH3O.
CHO2.
I got
Yeah.
CH2O4.
Okay. Ananya, what is your answer?
I got CHO2.
Okay. I'll give 1 more minute to you so that you can just solve it. And come to. Okay. Let me, before solving this question, let me give you some idea about few things. Number one, whenever you are solving a question on a empirical formula or molecular formula, first of all, the first step without saying goes that you have to find out the total percentage of the elements. That means whether the sum of all of them is 100 or not, right? In this case, fortunately, oxygen is given as 71.2. Had I not given oxygen here, the first thing is that whatever is left out, what you have to do, you have to write, hydrogen is 2.2, then carbon is 26.6. You have to add them first. If I add them, it is definitely not going to be 100. So what you have to do, you have to subtract it from 100. So the equation will be 100 minus 2.2 plus 26.6, and that will be the percentage of oxygen. Why we say that it will be oxygen only? You got the question? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You got the question, understood the question or not?
Yes, ma'am.
I can reframe it if you have certain difficulty, that the substance was found to be having carbon, let's say 40%, hydrogen, let's say 30%, and you were asked to find its empirical formula or molecular formula, whatever they wanted to ask. Since if you add the percentages, they come out to as 70% only. So what you have to do, you have to subtract 70 from 100 and say this substance has oxygen 30%, right? Why only I write oxygen? Why it can't be anything else? See, the reason is simple. We live in the atmosphere of oxygen.
Yes, ma'am.
And every reaction is conducted in the atmosphere of oxygen. So whatever is the missing percentage, it has to be of oxygen only. I believe most of you did it in class 9, but the difference, again, moving forward from class 9 to class 11, if the difference is hardly of a 2.1%, that is the sum is coming out as say 99% or 99.5%, then we can ignore it, right? Otherwise, we have to consider it. Else we will be getting different molecular formulas and empirical formulas. Now tell me, who got the what is the empirical formula for this compound? Any unanimous?
CHO2.
Everybody got that? Ananya, you got CHO2 or not?
Yes, ma'am, I got CHO2.
Rest of the team, entire class has also got CHO2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So these are the steps. Again, if you are not, you do not want to write it, you can solve it like this. They may, again, I have prepared such a question, given it to the examination body, that if you give the students a sheet like this, this is what you have to do. You have to write the percentages as given, then you have to write the atomic masses, right? Then number of atoms. For finding the number of atoms, what you have to do? You have to divide them by their atomic masses. So number of atoms of carbon comes out as 2.2, hydrogen 2.2, and oxygen is 4.4. Luckily, we have a simpler numbers, and by dividing them, we will get simple ratio as 1 and 112, CHO2, right? So again, the purpose of putting it is that how you should be doing it. If you are expert, you may skip certain steps, right? Like if I ask, let's say Raghav, to explain the steps, how to withdraw money from ATM. All of you must be withdrawing money from ATM or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Raghav, let me please tell me the steps which are involved in withdrawing money from ATM.
First we should have a bank account,
Okay,
and if we go to the bank account and if you put the credit card inside the ATM and enter the digits, it will give us the money.
okay. Anybody want to elaborate or add to it? Or point out what he missed out or what he said in what part he said incorrectly?
Ma'am, I forgot. We should put the password.
Okay. You forgot one more major thing, Raghav.
You should have money in your bank account.
That's apart from that. Ananya, can you explain?
I'm not sure.
You have not used your ATM to withdraw money?
No.
Okay. As Raghav rightly said, but what Raghav missed was the ATM machine where you will insert your ATM card.
Card swiper.
Huh?
Ma'am, we should put the card inside the ATM.
ATM machine.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's, see, I'll just say that, first of all, as he rightly said, that we should have a bank account. We should have a debit or a credit card. Then,
Ma'am, I said that, ma'am, to put the credit card inside.
okay, but where would you insert? You have to have a machine, ATM machine nearby, na? Where you will insert it. And if you want to be more elaborate and precise, what the description, a functional ATM machine. Many times ATM is not working because of the technical reasons, or sometimes they don't have money, right? So again, that what we have to do, first of all, we have to enlist what are the requirements. A bank account with money, an ATM card, a functional ATM card, and a functional ATM machine. We must visit that place, insert the card, answer whatever is there in IVR, interactive voice system, whatever the questions are asked, you have to answer them, right? That if they say insert the card now, you have to insert it, then you have to put the PIN code of it or the passcode of it. And then you have to, when they say now you will be able to take out money, then you have to collect it from wherever it says, and then you have to take out the card. Similarly, when you are doing these things, there has to be step 1, 2, 3, 4. And these steps are important, right? So Ananya and whosoever has not visited ATM machine anytime, please, along with your parents, visit that place. It's just a activity which we all of us must know, and we should be able to explain each and every step. I'll ask you now, and I believe this you must have done. All of you must have done. Anybody is there who has not prepared tea? Is anyone is there? So what are the steps involved in preparing a tea? Tea.
Ma'am, we should on the stove.
Ma'am, tea only habit of drinking, so no preparing.
Okay, what have you cooked in your Maggie?
Hot water,
Just boil the hot water.
cooking hot water.
How do you cook hot water? Hot water cannot be cooked, yeah. It can be
I'll
only
cook.
boiled.
I'll cook hot water in the perfect consistency, pouring consistency.
No, I don't want.
No, ma'am, I've cooked a lot. I know how to prepare a tea. And for that, you have to have a gas stove, gas connection, and you have to turn on the stove, light it, and keep a vessel, pour water, boil it for a few seconds, add tea leaves, boil it again, strain it, add milk, add sugar, enjoy the tea.
Filter. You will not filter it.
I told strain the tea.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. So that is probably the perfect answer. So see, just these questions was to bring to you the life sciences, forget about the atoms and molecules. You need to be perfect with them. You have to be systematic with them, right? And you need to have a reason what to do and what not to do. So whosoever doesn't know how to cook tea, I'm not bothered. I'm not visiting your home, but go to net and find out the recipe. Sometimes whosoever is cooking, your mother, father, house help, whosoever is cooking, just beside that person and learn. See, I believe as a person, we must be knowing what is happening around us and why it is happening. If you start doing so, you will become a good learner. That's what my belief is. So this is CHO2. And please remember, 1 and 1 are not written. This, I think, the earlier chapter of class 10th must have told you that don't use the suffixes like H, that 1, 1, right? Now, coming to the next question. Remember what was the first step? Find if the total sum of the percentages is 100 or not. But this time, please do it quickly. It's just less complicated, means having lesser number of elements. So I'll give you only 2 minutes by my watch. Any answers?
I'm C4H.
C4H. Any
Yes,
other
ma'am.
answer? Any
No,
other
ma'am,
answer?
I got the same.
You got?
C4H only, ma'am.
Okay. The other students? Ananya, what is your answer?
Yes, ma'am, even I got C4H.
Okay, it seems everyone has got C4H. So that's how we, first of all, we checked whether it has 100% or not. Then we wrote the atomic masses of carbon and hydrogen, divided them, and then got the lowest numbers, right? So since it has to be 2.5, it was rather 2.5, so we have to multiply it by 2. But now you tell me how all of you got the other answer. How did you get the C4H? Who made a mistake, me or you?
Ma'am, I didn't count the decimal point in 17.3, ma'am. I got 0.25.
Okay,
So I multiplied it by 4.
okay,
The rest of them was correct.
but the answer was
So,
correct. So we are not
Uh,
fighting for the answers. I see this was one of the points. As I told you in the last class, if I'm putting a question, I'm putting it for a reason. What are the rules of rounding off?
no, ma'am, I left a decimal point in while doing.
Okay,
I
What
took it
about
as
the-
173 instead of 17.3. So I got to 0.25.
when can I have an answer or explanation without these silly mistakes? What about the others? They also, none of you got C2H5. Ananya, why didn't you get C2H5? What was the mistake?
Instead of dividing.
Instead of dividing, you multiplied. Okay. The others members at the center. What is the mistake?
I did the same thing as Jitesh, ma'am.
Wow.
I didn't count
So
the decimals.
both of you were interested in each other's copy more than in yours.
Huh?
What about the other two? The girls in the classroom?
Ma'am, I took a long time calculating it, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm extra.
So, see, I tell you that we must try not to do it. Have faith in yourself. Do it at your own. There will be, say, if you must be using railways or airports to go from one place to other, or you must be at least catching your school bus. All of you must have experience of either 3 or 2 or 1. What is important there? If the flight time is 12:03, so that means till 12:03 you can be there. If you catch up a wrong plane at 12:01, you will be at loss. So my sincere request to all of you is, all of you are bright students, good students, just be a bit patient. Develop a habit of revising, revisiting before you tell me or tell yourself even. Right? Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this answer seems to be correct or not? Is explanation worth a question or not?
Yes, ma'am.
So why we was in such a hurry to catch a train? See, another rule which I must tell you now, I thought you people know that. That was the reason I said do it in a 2 minutes. Even otherwise, I'll request if you are not able to finish in 2 minutes, do it in a 4 minute or a 5 minute, but please give me the correct answer. Or give me an answer which does not have a careless mistake. See, I was trying to tell you, if after decimal, see if I have 15.1, 15.2 or 15.3. I will round off this number to 15, right? And if I have 15.8 and 15.9, I will round it off to 16. But if I have anything between 15.4 to 15.7, I need to find a suitable number, right? So that it can become a whole number. Like we have a case of 2.5 here, right? So be careful with these numbers, rather decimal endings after decimal numbers. If it is anything between 0.4 to 0.7, it is one of the reasons that students, despite knowing each and everything, still fumble with the answer. They do not get to a closer to a correct answer, right? So please put it in your copy in bold letters that whenever you see at the simplest ratio anything after decimal as 4, 5, 6, or 7, just you remember that you have to multiply it with a certain number. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, I'm saying at this is our probably third or fourth, whatever number of lecture it is, that make a separate sheet where you keep on writing the things which I tell you. These are the important things which will help you while you are solving a problem. Now, coming to the molecular formula, as all of you have already stated, that it tells us about the exact number of atoms of every type present in that particular compound, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This water of crystallization, that's an interesting term. You know about it, water of crystallization?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
Number of water molecules present in a unit of element.
How are they associated with the main compound? Here the main compound is copper sulfate, CuSO4. The 5 water molecule. What type of a bond is between them and the compound?
Covalent bond, ma'am.
Hmm?
Covalent bond.
No, it's not covalent. See, if I have copper sulfate, dot 5 water, what will happen? When you put it in water, copper sulfate will dissolve to form Cu2 plus and SO4 2 minus. Why I have not put that CuS plus 1? Can anyone tell me? What should be the valency of copper here? Plus 1 or plus 2? Any idea?
+2.
Why?
Ma'am, because sulfate has -2. So
Correct.
copper will be +2.
Whenever you are writing the formula of a compound, you crisscross the valencies, right? For sulfate, we know for sulfate it is -2. So for copper, it has to be +2, not +1, right? And the 5 water molecules remain as it is. The aqueous solution of copper sulfate. Aqueous solution, I believe that all of you know. Aqueous solution means solution prepared by dissolving something in water, like while cooking or eating salad or anything, you put sodium chloride in water. Salad does not have water directly, but whatever fruits and vegetables we put in, they definitely have a small amount of water present in them, right? So they dissociate. They are combined with this copper and sulfate ions. They are associated with ionic bonds. Therefore, they dissociate into copper 2 plus and sulfate minus ion. Water remains as it is. And I'm not too sure whether you have heard about the coordinate bonds or not. Have you heard what is a coordinate bond?
No, ma'am.
You have heard of only 2 types of bond, covalent and ionic, I believe, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The major difference between ionic and covalent bonds is?
Covalent bonds are weaker bonds and ionic bonds are stronger bonds. And covalent bonds are basically they produce liquid or gaseous states of elements. Ionic bonds produce solid
Not elements, it's compounds.
compounds.
Yeah. The major difference to me in between covalent and ionic compound is how should
Covalent
you-
bonds give transfer of electrons while ionic bonds use sharing of electrons.
you have said it opposite.
Yeah, no, ma'am. Covalent bond use sharing of electrons and ionic bonds use transfer of electrons.
Right. That was the answer I was looking for. Whereas a coordinate bond, I think when we will be doing the chapter number 4, chemical bonding, it's there. That coordinate bond is a special type of a covalent bond to some people, which is formed by transfer of electron. The water molecule forms a coordinate bond with them. Coordinate bonds do not usually dissociate. Water of crystallization is attached to a particular compound. It can never be attached to an element. So we'll take about them in a later part of the, when we go to chapter number 4, chemical bonding. I thought you people are knowing about, or some people, some teachers do teach coordinate bond because water of crystallization is there in class 10th also. Am I correct or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's not go into details of it. Water of crystallization remains as it is. We say that they are the fixed number of molecules which are attached to a particular compound during crystallization. When you are forming the crystals of copper sulfate, it does happen. Now, molecular formula of compound, do we know the steps how to find it? Any answers from the class?
Yes, ma'am.
You know that? So let's,
Yes, ma'am.
you want to do a question quickly or just leave the class right now? Okay, what we will do, we will just quickly go through them. We have understood how to find the empirical formula. And for finding
Okay,
the,
ma'am.
this is the formula which we use to find the molecular formula. As we said, H2O2, the simplest formula is HO. If you multiply it by 2, you get the molecular formula. So we are putting it in the form of a generalization. That molecular formula is equal to N into empirical formula, right? That how many empirical formula units must be there. If they give you the formula written at the bottom, where we say N is equal to molecular formula upon empirical formula, molecular mass upon empirical formula mass, they give you either of these. They either give molecular mass in the question or they give the value of N, right? So whenever we have a next class, we will be catching up with this. Until then, I have only 2 things from you to do. Number 1, practice, practice, and practice. Work on your memory and recall. I don't know you individually, but in general, I can say that start eating something which has omega-3, like almonds. They help in memory and recall. That if you remember the molecular formula of, we talked about methane many times today, purposely. Why? So at least, even if you have not learned it at your own, I'm able to put some energies or some effort into it to make you understand. Methane means 16, ammonia means 17, glucose means 180. You have to do this. That is one thing. Another thing, practice, practice, and practice. Number 3, while answering a question in class, in paper, don't do any silly mistake. Abstain from doing any silly mistakes, right? So now both of us can enjoy the remaining part of the Sunday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.